Traffic Jam is on now.
Hello and welcome to Traffic Jam. My name is B Love, and today we're talking about Selective Outrage, the Chris Rock live special. And on today's panel, I have an amazing group of comedians who are going to talk it out with me. I'm today's show moderator, so I'm going to make sure that you guys don't overtalk each other. But before we get into the topic, I'm going to let you introduce yourselves. Ladies first. Maya, come on in and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm comedian Maya DiGiorgio. I'm excited to see talent on here because I wouldn't be doing any comedy if it wasn't for talent. So, hey,
what up,
everybody. Thanks for having me.
First of all,
Marvin?
let me say this. You know, with the feminist movement, you know, you shouldn't have went ladies first. We got to change up.
Listen. Listen, on this show, ladies are first. In fact, we got here first.
My bad. Well, see,
right.
There you go.
Y'all were
That's
doing
the
your
point.
hair and makeup, so
that's
we'll let you have a moment.
How's my makeup look, by the way? Flawless,
actually,
right?
wonderful. Just wonderful. Well worth the wait. Marvin, welcome. Yo. Introduce yourself.
Yo, I'm Marvin Phipps, comedian out of Chicago, man. I'm happy to be here. What's up, everybody?
What's up, big dog? It's yours truly, Talon Harris, right here, NYC Zone. Here to participate.
Well, welcome. Thanks for all of you being here today. I know y'all got a lot going on, but we had to have this discussion about Chris Rock, Selective Outrage. Let's get into it. Did you all see the Chris Rock Selective Outrage special?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And as a viewer and not a comedian, what did you think? And I'm gonna start with you, Talent, because you're on your feminist movement.
I loved it. I loved it. Okay. I thought it was, as just a fan of comedy, I thought it was perfect. As a fan of him and knowing what he went through, I give it even 2 more points. Actually, Chris has been so consistent to me with this one here, like, because it's hard to be consistently putting out these specials at a high octane level. So actually right now, you know, I put him a half a notch over my boy Dave right now. Like, Dave got to catch him. And it ain't hard for them. They go tit for tat.
Okay. Marvin, your thoughts?
So I saw it late, and I was like watching a lot of responses and reviews on Facebook and Twitter, and you know, so people was really saying it wasn't funny, but I thought it was good. I thought it was funny. I've seen a few bits that he did before, but it's typical Chris Rock, classy, you know, OG material. So I wasn't disappointed. I wasn't mad at it, you know.
Okay. Maya, your thoughts?
I'd like to lean exactly in Talent's space on this. I think it was brilliant. I think it was wonderful. I think it was, as a Chris Rock, watching Chris through all the years. I wasn't a fan of his last couple specials. I think, and it was very funny because a comedian I look up to, Tony Woods, I walked in I saw him I saw Chris the night Chappelle got attacked. And I walked out in the Hollywood Bowl we were backstage and walked around, and he was just blaring like he was back before he even did his first special. And I remember calling Tony Woods. He's like, damn, Will slapped him back into funny, like hard. Sometimes your soul fits inside it, what comedy is. The only difference that I'm seeing, that if there's anyone saying it wasn't funny or people are judging it wrong, because it's a live broadcast, the editing was very minimal. There's something that happens when you edit a special. I was really blessed to do a special. Robert Townsend came in to look at my raw footage, and he did notes. He said, you have to take the air out of the special. There's these pauses, there's these things, you take the air out. And that's, if somebody went through it, if they did Chris true justice, they would take this tape, they'd go back, they'd take the air out of this, they take the fumbles out of this, because this is what every special does. If you understand also how specials are done, the first night, I'm sorry, am I going too far?
No, I was going to say that actually takes me into my next question, right? Because we're talking about live next to edited. And so my next question to the panel is, the special is live. Is that much more difficult than it being pre-recorded? So you can go ahead on to what you were saying.
There are, when Richard Pryor did Sunset Strip, the first night he bombed. The second night was the one we appreciate. When Eddie Murphy did Raw, the first night he bombed. This was the second night. For him to go and do a live special, and I'm a huge Chappelle fan, but the last 2 or 3 specials we see, Chappelle literally has Stan Lathan show up and they tape like 17 specials and then they edit them.
Oh, wow.
They have that so honed. This is raw. So what you're seeing is an audience not boosted the way they're not going to put in a laugh, but they will boost it. You're talking about every celebrity got their ticket. This was like him performing. He might also have done this in Los Angeles because the audience is still sitting like they do in LA. They're there because they want to be seen. So that audience is not really paying attention. They're laughing in places that they think are appropriate for them to be safe as being seen in that audience. This isn't a regular crowd. So as you look at the shots and the way they're reacting, they're seated there. This is not like a comedy taping. Like if you go down and see talent and people are falling out of the aisles, that's what normally would have happened. It was a contained Hollywood set in Baltimore, and without any editing, without the air being taken out of, and without an audience that is responding. So these are the things that if you had an edit, every major special that you're going to compare this against has that polish, and that's
Marvin.
Yeah, I agree. I do think him doing it live like that, even when he did messed up, he recovered well. And I think the people who's giving it the negative feedback, they not taking that into consideration, that it was a live, it was a set, which many comics do, and just, but comparing it to someone's else specials or his previous specials where, like she said, it could be edited and all those things. So that does make a difference with that outcome. And it still was good. So kudos to Chris, man.
But let me say this, though, as far as the editing goes, and the backlash and all the comments that people are coming out with, if you pay attention to the majority of comments, that's not the angle that people are complaining of. People are complaining of the subject matter. People are complaining, believe it or not, still in defense of Jada. So it's those complaints to me that I got to tune out, because I don't know what the hell people came. I came to sit down and watch a comedy show. I didn't give 2 F's about. The funny thing is, he and Will Smith are friends, right? So I try not to take a side in this when it happened, but it was clear who was right and who was wrong. You know what I mean? It was clear. So the fact that we're a year later and the comments are still, oh, he did it wrong, he had to say that, and you called her a bitch. Get over it. Like, if this man could get over it and go a whole year and methodically figure out how I'm going to get you back. You understand something? People get you back in whatever they're good at. If I smack a boxer, he's going to knock me out. Right. If I do something bad to a comedian, he's going to tear my ass up next time he get a microphone on stage, in his form and fashion. So the backlash he's getting doesn't add up. Either that or people are just guilty of what he said. Like, because I know people who are guilty of some of the stuff he said. When he said, oh, you cancel culture on this, but let this one slide. All of us know people that's playing Michael Jackson, but not R. Kelly.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that was the point and people hate when you put that flashlight, that high beam, or that magnifying glass on their ass, and it be right. Now you're walking around with a chip on your shoulder. So, I mean, all the stuff that people are saying about it, one thing you can't say, if you take away subject matter and some things that hurt your feelings or whatever the case may be, it was a funny comedy show.
I think also too, what Talon's saying too, even more so, I don't look at it as he was getting him back. I think there comes a point you have no choice but to and stand up. When I first came up to Uptown Comedy Club and I walk out looking like I did, they said, if you are a heavyset comic or you look like you're white, you have to acknowledge what the brain is, the audience is doing. And I think maybe also too, you know, he addresses at the end, which is smart to address at the end, but a little zings in the beginning. You notice the big laugh finally kicked in when he acknowledged another rapper that he could get slapped by. That let the air out the room. And if he had opened even closer with that, that would have probably taken the focus of everybody waiting to see, is he going to say something about it? Because he needed to acknowledge it that quickly. He didn't come out and acknowledge it that fast. And I actually think that it's on everyone's mind, and it's the art of comedy. You have to acknowledge it. He can't not cover it, whether he's tagging him back or not tagging him back. People look at it that way. They don't understand that comedy, you have no choice but to attack where the mind is going.
Well, and the talent just kind of is bringing me into my next question, and you touched on it a little bit, talent, but you know, to ask, why do you think people are so divided about this special? About
I think people, we're Americans. Americans are spoiled as brats. And we wanted this to be handled when we wanted it to be handled. A lot of people don't like the fact that he did it in his own time. And I like that he put that out there. I refuse to be the victim. I know, because he knows that's what people wanted. They wanted Chris to play the victim and go on Oprah and sit down with The View. And they wanted that because we're spoiled as brats as Americans. And we are, us three, as comedians, we are the epitome of instant gratification. We chose this job. We chose a job that judges us on the spot. We don't do it and then wake up and go to the email and go, bomb.
Right.
Right. We get it right then and there. So America is that. We're epitome of what America feels like when they feel they got a skin in the game. Anything that happens that's caught on video or film, and people get to see it, they automatically in America feel like they got skin in the game because they got to see it. That's why we watch the news. So we can say that nigga's crazy. Well, that bitch out of her mind. Why did he kill the whole house? We feel like we got skin in the game when we get a chance to see it. So this happened at the Academy Awards. We're all watching it. The world is watching. And then boom, this thing happens. And everybody's like, for a week, oh my God. And a month, oh my God, because we're waiting. Where's that thing that I need to suffice me on this topic? And Chris didn't give it to us. He gave it to us like the best way he knew how to do it. I'm sure he did a lot of processing, you know what I mean? And then he got down to work and to writing and formulating. And like Maya said, this is what I appreciate about him the most. He is so perfect at fusing the show together. But whatever the point is he's going to end on, if you go back to all his specials, he's doing every special. He does this build-up thing. As comics, we call them callbacks. If you're listening to him, some of them are more loud and blatant than others, but he always, all his specials has 2 or 3 callbacks to get to the zinger. And this is what he did. As soon as he got to Snoop, like she said, you know what? The last thing I need is another man rapper. That's an innuendo. Right. We all know it's an inside joke with the world, if you will. And then he did it again with Jay-Z. And then on the third one, I brought it home and I dropped the mic. Enough said. And as a comic, like I said, it was well put together. Even when he screwed up, like, here's the thing, a lot of comics, and these guys attest to it, sometimes we know where we want to go and what we want to say right on stage, and we screw it up. The audience sometimes don't know we screw it up. So for him to stop and correct himself in real live moment like that, that even gave him more kudos to me, more points as a real comedian, because he stopped and then said, I'm going to finish this joke because this joke is too important to let a word like concussion just throw it to the can. No, guys, I meant to say.
Right.
Because I think he did that too, because you have to do that for the edit. So that way, if they take this and they do a clean edit, that way he did it for the, because he's such a professional. If you never saw any professionalism, you could see what he did at the Oscars last year. But everyone's saying it's late. Technically, it's not. This weekend is the slap-iversary. All the people I know in Hollywood are up to shoot.
It's right on time. It
is right on time. And let me tell you
why Maya said it like a real holiday. She was waiting on this weekend. It's the slap-iversary.
It really is. It's the slap-iversary. And the thing is too, is that, it took George Carlin had one of the first HBO deals. Every year he did a new special. It took the greatest two comedians, which is Pryor and Carlin. They literally took the same amount of time. This is right on time. I think, and if he had done it in the can and had it edited, they wouldn't even had it in time for the Oscars. So I think the whole thing is brilliant, and everyone's going to be talking about it. And the other, continue, I'll get off.
It's good, exactly. And the timing, I think, was perfect now that you put it in that perspective. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and throw the last question out there, guys, before we wrap this up. Was it wrong for him to call Jada a bitch? Marvin, I'm going to take it to you.
I'd say no.
If the beef fits,
he did. I mean, he's the one that got smacked, right? And obviously he's prepared to get smacked again if that's the, you know what I'm saying. So Chris, because it seemed like he wanted to say that shit last year. So it seems to me he was just double, because he wanted to say more. Like after he got smacked last year, he wanted to say more. So I think he just he doubled down, man. He was in it by then, and he was just he went with how he felt, man. I mean, morally, yeah, he wrong, but as a comic in that moment, in that vein, nah, he did what niggas do. I was proud for that nigga moment for Chris. Because as comics, we see how the OGs get far from doing nigga shit, but right there, I was like, okay,
me too. Yep.
He's still a G.
All right, Talent, your thoughts, and we'll wrap up with Maya, and then you guys can tell me where you guys are at. Tell us where you're at and what you're doing. T?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. No, he was not wrong, because you play a bitch role. We call you by the role you play. It's still people that would see Fred Berry if he was alive today. Go, hey, rerun. So she was a bitch. And I'm sure, here's the thing. Remember, we all seen one tape when it happened. And then for the weeks to follow, we start seeing angles and extra tape that we wasn't privy to the night of, right? So imagine if I'm Chris Rock, I'm seeing all these, it's like being in the, when the NBA game on, they got that room, that booth, where they got all those TVs watching the play, and they got replaying and all the angles to see if it was, who was it out of bounds. So imagine how many angles and how much shit he's seen in this year's time or whatever. And he's seen her sitting there being a bit, we all, at this point, by now with all the angles, we've seen it. What's my girl, the African beautiful actress who was in Black Panther, sitting at the table.
Yeah.
She's sitting at the table when all of a sudden
is it okay for him to call Jada a bitch?
I thought it was. I think if you act like, such and such, you could be called such and such. We do it all the time. You know what I mean? You just it's more categories of bitch than anything in the world. Bitch and nigga got the most categories. Skank ass bitch, cheating bitch, drunk bitch. There's so many. You know what I mean? But she was just in general, had that aura about her and carrying herself that way. We all seen it. Like I said, when you see how many angles and pieces of that video of what was going on seconds before, during, and after, you're like, yo, she was on her thing that night. So, yeah, I mean, it's fair game. And he just called it as he seen it. If you act like that, there is no reason you won't be called out on being such. Bottom line to me, he was justified.
I like what Marvin said. T doubled down on that. Maya, let me get your thoughts on it. Because as a woman, we may have a different perspective. As a comedian, how do you feel?
My comedian overrides my womanness. Are you kidding me? I mean, the only thing that made me mad was, there's a staff of writers. Chris Rock, you can't tell me. I'll be really still. I'm still in my heart like, who wrote that joke? Like, which was the writer that wrote a 1992 joke reference? Like, wasn't he reading from the teleprompter? There's a staff of writers. Why don't you slap the writers? Why, and when my friends who worked on the set there, they were like, he just slapped him. I was like, oh, backstage? That would have been bad enough. The stage, the world platform, the global platform. Do you know what I mean? And you're going to sit there smug and he's going to walk. That was just, all the greats, thank God Sidney Poitier was not alive to see that. The struggle of the forefront of where we are presented globally. This represents us as a people globally are tuned in. And we finally got Black people getting Oscars. We are finally represented. We are finally getting Oscars. And then you're going to slap us back for like, it was just, and that's what kills me. You would have thought that you would have thought it'd been like a rapper, not like
right,
Will Smith is not, to me, like Will Smith's like happy, but like a rapper, and it just says to the rest of the world, and as culturally divided and as racially divided as America is, and the hate that is coming, that is just saying no matter how much they try to pretend that they are able to sit at the table with us, eventually they're going to show their ass. And that was the statement that was made. But Chris Rock holding himself on that stage through the rest of that was the level of professionalism, the level that Sidney Poitier, that our ancestors, the family that has fought, all of our families that have fought to get to this point would have wanted him to do. And if he turns around, he says this later, you know what? Everyone in Hollywood knows who's running around, sleeping around, who are the players, the swingers, or this, or that. It's not known. But that joke was hardly where he would have even thought of deserved a snap. On 1992, that was a reference. G.I. Jane, who wrote that?
Right.
Who is the writer that was on that staff that wrote that weak joke? Chris Rock, I can't imagine it being out of a Chris Rock camp. But if it was, it's so benign that the whole thing is ridiculous.
I like what you said, though. It's that you said it right there, nail on the head. So it was like, it was a rapper. Like, it was so out of the norm because this was the crossover guy. This was Will Smith. This America loves Will Smith. And for him to do that act, it was blasphemy. It was like Michael Jackson recording "Fuck the Police." You know what I'm saying?
Suge Knight would have clutched his pearls. It would have been, You're talking about.
That's a fact.
Oh shit! She'll call Will like, "What is you doing, yo? What the fuck?
Wow.
You right.
He called Willow. The Willow would put an album out. I was like, and you don't want your father all up in the video.
Well, I think it kind of begs the question too, right? Did he do it? Would Chris do something like that, thinking that I can get away with it? We're on one of the largest stages in the world. I can say what I want without repercussion, including going back to something. Maybe he thought he can get away with it.
No, I'm sorry. I wasn't even asked for it.
I'm asking for Chris.
Who would have said something funnier?
Yeah, I think here's my thing. It's nothing he said in that special, wasn't something that we're all thinking or thought of at some point in time. And again, this is what I tell people to sum it all up. I'm like, how can anybody be mad at somebody's POV or their life and their story? That happened to him. We're all just bystanders wanting the juice and the tea and all that. That really happened to him. So how he feels about it and conveys it, there is no wrong answer for him. That's his face that got hit.
Right. Agreed.
Well, I just want to thank each and every one of you for jumping on and talking this out with us. This has been an incredible show. Please tell us, Maya, starting with you, where we can find you, what shows do you have coming up that we can come check you guys out at?
Friday, I'm at Hollywood Laugh Factory, and the same thing next week. So I'm pretty much on the ground here, and Laugh Factory is my home base. So catch me here.
Nice.
Thank you, Maya. Talent?
But forget all that. We talking about all the wrong stuff. We worried about Chris Rock. That happened a year ago. What about this weekend? Whole Flood got beat up.
What happened? Are you playing?
No, I'm dead serious. Like something. I'm paraphrasing because you know how it is when you're not there. They had some in LA. They had some comedy competition going this past weekend, and apparently, you know, Hope she could talk with the best of them with that mouth, and said something to a young lady comedian more times than 2 times, and the girl politely, emphasis on politely, followed her in the ladies' room and Molly. This word of the streets. So we'll make another Zoom when we get more information.
At least she had the wherewithal to follow her to the ladies' room.
Right.
See,
I
now,
can tell you what, they said a lot of bitches in that. There was a lot of bitches in that. But anyway, what is today? Anyway, April Fool's playing Madison Square Garden, April Fool's Comedy Jam. My sister Samore, Bruce, Arnez J, Lavelle Crawford's on that show as well. We're going to be having a blast April 1st. So if you're in New York City, go to the Garden. If it ain't already sold out, get your ticket for that. And we hope to, see you guys there. Also, check your boy out. One of the members of 94.7 The Block Morning Show with Miss Jones in the morning. So I'll be on there a lot of time chopping up with Jonesy too. Shout out to Miss Jones.
Awesome. Marvin?
Yo, this weekend I'm in Cincinnati with Corey Holcomb. I don't even know the fucking venue.
It's the same bathroom, hopefully. She gonna kill me.
He gonna kill you.
But we had to do it. Like Maya said the most important thing that stood out this show was you asked her, you said, well, you're a comedian, but you're a woman. Maya said, listen, my comedian
overrides everything.
And that is the truth with us. Like, we could be one thing, but that comedy in your blood and veins, it is so powerful. I tell everybody, I don't know if y'all watched the show Accused. This last episode had to do with comedians, and I thought it was real super dope, where a young lady's trying to get on. One guy in her clique, he's like making it, and she just wants to open his spots. He ended up sexually, assaulting her. And the flip of how they do these shows, Accused, but it's all comedy based. I thought it was super dope. So check out The Accused, man.
Thanks, D. Marvin?
You
don't know where your venue is. Where can we follow you?
Marvin Phipps.
Where can we find you?
She just
There's a flyer up somewhere, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the flyer up. Marvin Phipps, everything, man. MarvinPhipps, Twitter, Instagram, all social media.
Great. Thank you all again. This is your girl B Love. This is Traffic Jam, guys. Make sure you support.
Yes.
Traffic Jam is on now.